kiss is what you need right now. Just one kiss and I will show you how. Just one kiss is what you need tonight. We'll go dancing with the devil by the pale moonlight. Come on, do it with me now. Come on, do it with me now. Come on, do it with me. If you want my love, you gotta drink the blood. Come on, do it with me now. Come on, do it with me now. Come on, do it with me. If you want my love, you gotta drink the blood.
It's an incredible coincidence that I happened to marry somebody with the name of Lawless. And I remember being in the supermarket, I remember the moment actually where I thought, oh, my career, you know, with a name like Lucy Lawless, they're never going to take me seriously. And then eventually I just thought, God, should I be so lucky to be in that position where people are forced to pay any attention to my name anyway. So here I am, and it has been a great, it's ear-catching anyway. It is such a great name, and it's my daughter's name, so it would seem unkind and foolish to change it. I like it. It suits me.
My very first idea about being a filmmaker was probably when I was in high school. I read the book The Exorcist and thought, what a great movie this would make. And that was kind of the first insight into reading something and then seeing it later visualized and thinking it was great. And then I made like slide movies in high school. It wasn't until college that I actually got involved in filmmaking. I had no idea when I was in college that I would end up a producer. I enjoyed movies. I took movie classes. It was only once my roommate at the time, his younger brother came up to school, who I was roommates with Ivan Raimi, and his younger brother Sam Raimi came up to school, and we made a Super 8 movie at that time that was an hour-long, The Happy Valley Kid, story of a student driven mad. And that kind of gave me the first taste. And then Sam and myself and his friend Bruce Campbell, after making a couple more Super 8 movies, said, geez, we're ready to go make a feature, and dropped out of college and raised a small amount of money to go make a horror film. So.
I had been working on some television movies. Actually, I had just finished a couple period pieces. One was a television movie for the Hallmark Hall of Fame. And then I worked on another period piece, which was funny, the Walt Disney film, Huckleberry Finn. So I guess I was used to not being a part of the sort of modern world, which helped then going into Gabrielle. As an actor, it was ideal because you had an opportunity to play every sort of style that you could ever imagine. So no, if anything, it was much bigger and broader than I thought it would have been as a challenge as an actor. Yeah, no, we covered everything. I loved all the fight scenes. Literally, I could fight all day. But I just loved the ability to be able to take these different weapons and not be great at them, but actually perform them enough that I could, you know, do a little bit of damage if I wanted to, which is kind of scary because, you know, you don't want me with a weapon and hurting somebody. But no, I just loved the element of the choreography and the dance that you had with another person. I guess my background is dance as well, so it just made sense that this was all part of expressing yourself. Now that I've got so many weird skills now, like bull whips and nunchucks and staff fighting and things I'll never use again, but it's kind of fun.
You know, I was never particularly athletic or I was never good at sports. Still not, I'm better because Xena kind of smashed me into shape, but I'm not interested. I don't want to do martial arts classes. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So it was a shock to me every day when they'd go, Lucy, you fight something. I'd go, you're kidding. Haven't we done with the fights yet? You know, can't you just cut them together or something? I think it was a survival mechanism in me that I would just, immediately the fight was over, I would forget about it. And every time they'd tell me my fight was up, I would just go and do it and try to get it over with as quickly as possible. Be as good as you can, because then the pain will be over sooner. But people always think I'm really into that stuff, and I'm totally bewildered by it. Zero interest.
We were incredibly fortunate with Xena. I had forever and a day wanted to make a female superhero show, and I could only see Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman, and couldn't figure out what it was. And then I had seen some Hong Kong movies and went, well, I know how to make a really great woman villainous. And so I showed it to the head writer on Herc at the time and said we should do some stuff like this, and he totally got it. And so the idea of Xena was really an evil character, Hercules' nemesis.
Come back later.
But Hercules is here.
Hercules?
He must have followed us.
Why would he do that?
Perhaps he doesn't trust me with you.
He shouldn't.
Or maybe he doesn't think you're man enough to help me.
I think we shot those in early January of 1995, and within 2 weeks of finishing the first episode on a 3-episode arc, the studio came to us and said, and Hercules hadn't even gone on the air yet, literally. The series was coming on the end of January, and the studio saw the first rough cut and said, that's a much more compatible show to go with Hercules than what we currently have. We'd like to do it as a series, and it took another 2 months to get that cemented. At that time, my partner Sam had just been involved in The Quick and the Dead, which was Sharon Stone as a gunfighter, and certainly there hadn't been any successful female action shows or action movies that had worked. So there was, Sam worked very hard on the original first episode of Xena, came up with ideas about the father and the family and those kind of things, but was never, I don't think, as sold initially on the idea that it could be like Hercules. And it took a year and an entirely different crowd to come and see Xena than was watching Hercules.
Doesn't it make more sense that I should learn how to defend myself? I think it makes more sense.
Don't confuse defending yourself with using a weapon. When you pull a sword, you have to be ready to kill.
You don't think I know that?
No, I don't think you do.
Lucy ended up as Xena through a whole series of, by default. At that time, Universal Television was making a series called Weird Science with the star Vanessa Angel. And they happened to have a hiatus during January and early February. And one of our executives said, could you please use Vanessa Angel, because she's very promotable and a fine actress in her own right, in Hercules as this evil warrior woman? And we went, sure, very attractive woman. She had actually come in to audition for us on one of the early Herc movies. And then December 29th, I got a call from her manager saying, Vanessa's trapped in London, she's sick as a dog, she can't fly, and she's gonna have to pull out of that part. And we went, oh my God, what are we gonna do? It's impossible to cast, and we had to start shooting. So we kind of scrambled, and we had used Lucy in the previous episode of Hercules, and I made a bunch of calls to women who I had worked with prior to that and said, do you want to go down and do this part? And they said no. And finally I called Eric Grundeman, who was the producer down here in New Zealand, and said, Eric, how about finding Lucy and see if she can do it? Because she had, and I told the studio, because they didn't know they were doing a Xena series. It was just for a 3-episode arc. And they went, yeah, well, you just used her. And we said, well, we'll dye her hair black. They went, okay, I guess, yeah, fine, because on basically December 31st, nobody from America was going to get on a plane and fly to New Zealand to be in Hercules, the syndicated show. So they found Lucy off camping somewhere, and the rest was history. So everything came together. The person the studio had asked us to cast as Xena and Hercules fell out. Lucy fell in. It never would have worked with anybody else, or it would have been very difficult with anyone else in the league to pull that off. And to have the dedication and the hours of work over 6 years, she and Renee really made that show work.
Estragon!
Is this what you do to all your warriors, Xena?
Only those who don't follow my code.
I will always remember the day that I got the part of Xena. It was a 3-episode arc on Hercules, a show that hadn't screened yet. It was still its first season. We were travelling around New Zealand, my husband, my little daughter and I, completely incommunicado. And we were staying like at my sister-in-law's place. And my brother happened to be picking up his mail at my parents' empty house. And he picked up the phone, he answered the phone, and it was a casting agent saying, is this the house of the parents of Lucy Lawless? And my brother said, yeah. Well, where is she?
I had been in Los Angeles, I guess, about for 6 years, working pretty steadily in television and some feature films, and had this audition to play a character on the television movie for Hercules. So I went in, had a callback, and then I remember meeting Rob and basically auditioning for him. He's such a wonderful, warm man with a sense of humor, thank God, because I think I ruined all of his camera equipment by bumping into it and knocking it down. So that was my introduction to Rob. And yeah, and then he has this, for some reason, he has this ability to think that I can pull off different types of roles, because he just became this, like, I guess I call him my champion, because he kept giving me these opportunities I had never had before to play different types of characters. Because I'm not really the feisty type of person, and yet he saw that in me. It's really interesting.
Think you're man enough to test my blade, do you? Your type are all cowards. I've met and defeated tens of hundreds of your type. So come on, make your move. Or are you waiting for me to make the first move? First mistake? Well, that's your first mistake, waiting for my mistake, because I don't make mistakes.
Then he put me in another part on his sequel to Darkman, which was going straight to video, which is playing a stripper. And again, I'm actually pretty modest, you know, and I thought, oh no, Rob, I can't do this. I can't take off my clothes, you know, I can't, you know, play that. But he just stuck me in the part, and I can't say I did a great job either, but again, it was an opportunity to do something for Rob. And then Xena came, and I think he always had me in mind, but that Rob had a lot of resistance from the studio in wanting someone that was younger to play the part. And so he just persevered through all the auditioning processes that, you know, I went to, and eventually it worked out, you know, thank God.
Go away! You're interrupting a religious ceremony.
Yeah, well, if you're sacrificing yourself to the water god, he's not home. You're wasting your time.
Renee had been in Hercules in the Lost Kingdom, which was one of the 2-hour movies, and I just thought that she had a wonderful on-screen quality of kind of the talkative, chatty girl on her way to being a woman, but still a girl. So, and she had a great work ethic and a very nice on-screen quality. So whatever it was, whatever she had that I related to and thought that other people would relate to. So we looked before we started it, because she just wasn't handed the role. She had to come in the room and win it, and she won it against people who have gone on to be big stars in their own right.
Ha! Let that be a lesson to you.
Are you finished with my sword?
Don't do that.
This is not a plaything.
I said I'd get some wood. I didn't say how I was going to get it.
You're lucky the tree was unarmed. You could have been hurt.
Maybe I wouldn't if someone would teach me how to use it.
No.
Renee as Gabrielle filled the role of chatty and all those things. Even though Renee is so far from that character, I think Lucy is closer to Xena than Renee is to Gabrielle.
There was a moment where Renee and I, when episode 8 had screened, and
You know, we could get Minya to round up the
and there was a big brouhaha from the of excitement from the lesbian community, where Renee and I went, the lesbian community? You were kidding me. Whoa, that's cool. We never counted on that. And I think that's where we went, wow, this is something more than any of us. This is beyond our scope, beyond anything we had ever predicted anyway.
But it comes down to someone wanting a feeling of intimacy with a character that maybe they admire. And these characters have changed people's lives. It affected them at a certain time in their life that forever made them admire, the friendship that was there. So I guess that the beauty of Xena and Gabrielle is that people could read into their relationship anything that they wanted to project. And again, then it satisfied the children's point of view, yet the sexual point of view too, It was all there. So I think that's why that it's been such a hit for such a long time.
I think Lucy and Renee's on-screen relationship mirrored at times their relationship off-screen, but equally, like any relationship over 6 years, they had their disagreements or misunderstandings or whatever it was, but they were both professional enough that it had nothing to do with what happened before the camera, and there were other problems between Herc and Xena, and I have to say, every single person, Kevin, Michael, Lucy, Renee, were 100% professionals, so any problems they may have had between themselves never manifest themselves in any way that harmed the production, harmed the final product, or made it so that the audience would ever know that there was a problem.
It's so much more interesting to go on a different journey than to try to control it. I mean, it's something is better and greater than the sum of its parts if everybody's using one another's ideas. And I often found they would, they'll make you do something unique with a character. It's boring if this character is only you. It's boring to play it, and eventually it'll get very tedious to watch. Nobody's that interesting, so it's much better to be doing somebody else's ideas, and yeah, it just keeps it fresher all around.
How the show worked was, I certainly feel that I was the driver all the way through, but I was only as good as the people I surrounded myself with in order to use or reject their ideas, rely on them to bring their unique talents and create an atmosphere that they could flourish and do their best work. So I'm certainly not an autocrat, but I often know exactly what I want and don't let many things stand in the way of getting there. So we did a musical on Xena that everyone was not committed to, and but I pulled right down the middle and right through it. So Rob Gillies, I'd have nothing to do with him. No, Rob Gillies is a genius, and I love him. I'm in business with him right now. He's production designing on a movie we're shooting down here, and he's a friend and a hardworking, smart guy. Joe LaDuca, also another person who I would call a musical genius. Joe, Sam and I have worked with now for 25 years. He did the music to Evil Dead going back to 1980, and I think both for Hercules and even more so for Xena, his scores really elevated the whole genre of television music at the time. And Joe has been acknowledged and rewarded for his contributions to the show. And but I really think that he gave it the heart and soul. So work with Joe as soon as I can. Nyla Dixon, the costume department, the costumings on both shows were brilliant. And everyone involved, because Nyla took over for another woman who I have to say did a wonderful job on Hercules. And then when we started Xena, it was just going to be too much for the other person. And Nyla came in, and the other person went off to do a big movie. But Nyla came in, and I thought her work was absolutely brilliant.
Xena! Go get your men.
Please, join us.
Already her department were in tears from working 19-hour days, and she was playing mother hen to everybody. And I said, oh, you know what, Nyla, it doesn't really matter. It's okay. You don't have to come up with a costume for that. I'm so sorry I forgot it, and blah, blah. Well, lo and behold, she came up with this wonderful costume for this crazy, sexy tango dance, and it was exactly what it needed. And so she's another person who, besides being blessed with great talent, will go the extra mile.
I definitely became more lazy as an actor on the show because, you start to know the characters so well and your relationship with the other characters like Xena that you don't have to put in the time of trying to figure out the point of view of the character in order to play the part. So yeah, I could just do more like Lucy. I could look at the script the night before and have a pretty good idea of what was happening in the scene. Yeah. But now I have the ability to be able to play other parts, so I'm going back to my first sort of compulsion of wanting to know everything I can about the character. Which, I don't know if that's always a good thing, but I like the process. It was fun actually playing the sidekick because I didn't have the responsibility of having to carry a show. I didn't have to look a certain way or watch what I said in public, all these things. And I admire Lucy for handling it so well. But yeah, and I could be the goof. Yeah, basically I just sort of did what I wanted to and had a good time and followed Rob quite diligently. And he's the one that kept the character developing over the course of the 6 years. He'd come to me and say, we're looking at her becoming a pacifist. How do you feel about this? And a lot of times I think he questioned his own thoughts, but then would come to me and knew that I knew the character well enough to think if it would work. And we just went from there.
The most precious little thing. Yes, you are.
Xena, can we keep him? It is a him, isn't it? Oh, I always wanted a little brother.
He belongs with his mother.
Well,
yeah, I think we enjoyed letting that ambiguity be there. Sometimes we played on it a little bit, but most of the time I think we just allowed it. Two things, actually. Gabrielle was, in a way, Xena's redemption throughout her life, and then she was the price of Xena's redemption in the end. Yeah, Xena had to give up being with her, and a lot of the fans weren't happy about that. They would rather have Xena unredeemed and together with her gal pal. But sadly, that doesn't make a dramatic ending to a show. So we'll always go for the stronger choice and see what happens.
Due to the growth of the internet, we got this fan base. We got a heavy woman fan base who, I don't want to say necessarily gay because it wasn't all gay women. It was people who responded to the relationship between Xena and Gabrielle, not so much because they were good friends. In the same way, as a young guy, I responded to Butch and Sundance. It didn't make me gay. But I always liked that those two guys trusted each other to cover their back, to do all that. So the internet and really that people could write one another and say, have you seen this? I think had a tremendous impact on the quick growth of Xena and got a whole new group of people to watch it that never would have watched it. And it took about a year to notice that the traditional people watching Hercules, which was the lead-in, and the people watching Xena started to very quickly change. And they didn't necessarily, it wasn't the same audience. There was probably 50 or 60% of the people would watch it all the way through. But each show, a lot more kids watched Hercules and then didn't watch Xena. And a lot more adults watched Xena then. So it was kind of unique that audience shift. But I give a lot of that to the growth in the internet. The unique opportunity that led to us to have to make Xena doesn't exist anymore. The market for syndicated television shows are gone. Nobody would ever say, hey, go make a show about mythology or warrior women or whatever it is. So I would have loved to have that opportunity, but it just doesn't really exist, and it's been done. So it'd be hard to say, let's go do a new one. What's nice about Xena is it opened the door to a whole, up until that time, even though people don't think of this, there weren't any female-based lead shows. The one before that, because I had to fight very hard with the head of Universal at the time, Sid Sheinberg, who said, hey, I did Bionic Woman, I did Cagney and Lacey. They didn't work, really. And they were successful, but they had no value, residual value. He says, I don't think they'll work. He says, I just don't think people will show up to watch them. Well, Xena is second that worked. Then they got Buffy, and it really led to a whole retooling of girl power. And it came because there was nothing like that before, and now it's, every single show is female-driven. So it really was the first seed, and that opened that door. And that's something, although no one's ever going to go back and write about it, or to me, I'm kind of glad that I got to get my foot in the door so other people could follow.
Oh, I guess I hoped this role would change my life. I don't know what I thought. I always thought it would be a smashing success because I was just young and stupid. You know, I just thought that's what happened to American shows, you know.